When you think of a desert, you probably imagine this: blistering heat, endless sand, maybe a camel or two trekking across dunes. I want you to comment what you believe makes a desert before watching the rest of the video, and let's see how you do. But what if I told you that this image is mostly wrong? That the largest desert in the world isn't the Saharas, that the desert can be freezing, full of life, and that there's something hidden beneath the sands of these deserts. The truth about deserts is far stranger, far more beautiful, and far more misunderstood than most people think. So let's explore that. When people hear desert, they think heat, but the word desert doesn't mean hot, it means dry. Deserts are defined by how little precipitation they get, generally less than 250 millimeters, or 10 inches a year. That's it. That's the science. And by that definition, the largest desert on Earth is actually Antarctica. Yes, Antarctica, the icy, frozen continent, is technically a desert because it gets almost no rainfall or snow. By the definition of dry, it's the biggest desert in the world. It's the driest place on the planet, where water is locked in ice, not falling from the sky. Same goes for the Arctic. That makes the polar region two of Earth's biggest deserts, together covering over 27 million square kilometers. So next time you picture a desert, think white, not just yellow. But here's the real thing that people get wrong about desert. Deserts are not just places, they're actually a process, and they're spreading. This process is called desertification, when fertile land becomes desert, usually due to a combination of drought, deforestation, poor agricultural practices, and even climate change. Right now, over 2 billion people live in dry lands and are at risk of turning into desert. In regions of Africa, just south of Sahara, desertification is pushing entire communities off their land. Crops are failing, water is disappearing, conflict over land is increasing. And in the US, parts of the Southwest are experiencing long-term aridification, where climate change makes the region drier over time, not just in short droughts. According to the United Nations, we're losing about 24 billion tons of fertile soil every year. That's the ground beneath our feet vanishing. That science is urgent. Higher temperatures lead to faster evaporation of moisture from soil. Deforestation removes shade and root systems that anchor the soil, and overgrazing strips land bare. The result isn't just more desert, it's less food, less water, and more migration. The line between land and sand is actually thinner than we think. Deserts are constantly growing around the world, and it's actually affecting many people around the world too. Deserts are random. They're shaped by physics, weather, system, and planetary motion. Here's how it works. So near the equator, warm air rises. These air full of moisture and from tropical oceans. As it ascends, it cools, moisture condenses, and it rains. That's why rainforests thrive near the equator, such as the Amazon rainforest. But that same air then moves north and south, sinks around 30-degree latitude, and by then it's dry. Bone dry. This zone is where you find many of the world's great deserts, the Sahara, Arabian, Kalahari, Australian outbacks. This circulation pattern is called the Hadley cell, and it's one of the fundamental engines of Earth's climate. Other deserts, like the Atacama, form because of the rain-shadow effect, where mountain ranges block moist air, leaving the other side parched. Still, other deserts, such as coastal deserts, exist because of cold ocean currents. These currents prevent evaporation and rainfall near these shorelines, which over time creates deserts. Now, a common misconception is that we often think of deserts as lifeless. Only a few species that we know is in the desert, but they're anything but lifeless. Life in the desert doesn't disappear. It adapts. Cactuses have spines instead of leaves to conserve water. Lizards change their behavior. Many stay underground in the day and surfacing by night. Camels store fat in their humps. It's not water, fat in their humps to keep cool, and their nostrils can close against sandstorm. In Antarctica, there's actually many little creatures too. Microscopic algae bloom in the snow, and extremophiles, tiny life forms that thrive in impossible places, live in dry valleys untouched by rain for nearly 2 million years. The adaptations are so extreme that desert organisms have even inspired biomimicry in science, technology that copies nature, like desert beetles whose shell collect moisture from fog, inspiring self-filling water bottles in arid regions. Deserts aren't dead zones, they're biological masterpieces. And believe it or not, some of the biggest cities in the world are also in deserts. Vegas, Dubai, Phoenix, Cairo, they have luxury shopping malls and AC skyscrapers, but they're still in the desert, built on sand and sustained by water system. These cities often pull water from lakes, and Dubai relies heavily on desalination plants that remove salt from seawater. Phoenix, Arizona, once dependent on rivers and canals, now faces a mounting water crisis due to overuse and prolonged drought. Living in a desert isn't natural for humans, it's engineered, and the more those cities grow, the pressure they place on fragile desert ecosystems and limited water supply also grows. And yet, even with all the problems and all the misconceptions, deserts fascinate us. They're cinematic, spiritual, and mysterious. Many of the world's biggest religions were actually born in deserts, and prophets wandered them, poets wrote about them. Deserts are also places of silence, of clarity. The absence of noise becomes space for reflection. In fiction and film, the desert is where heroes go to be tested, and where transformation often happens. There is a kind of wisdom in emptiness, and deserts have always been a mirror for that in nature. A search for meaning, stillness, or maybe just survival. Deserts aren't just hot, they're cold, dry, and also alive. They're born from planetary physics and shaped by time, stretch across polar ice caps and sneak into farmlands. They're constantly expanding. They house lives, build cities, and even inspire more science. But if we don't pay attention, the edge of the desert could find us all. And yet, through all that silence and sand, desert still tells many of our stories. The desert is not what you thought it was. It's more strange, more scientific, and more deeply human than we ever gave it credit for. Sometimes to understand a place, you have to forget what you knew and what you thought you knew. So what do you think? Tell us more about your misconceptions of deserts. Drop a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content of science, history, and philosophy, and check out our Instagram and X for more content.